It's your okay.
Thank you, Jacob. Good morning. Welcome to All Souls, part of the liberal religious faith tradition in Braintree, Massachusetts, which began in 1833. In our Unitarian Universalist community, we strive to create a welcoming and affirming space for all, recognizing and celebrating the inherent worth and dignity of every person. This commitment to diversity informs all aspects of our shared life, especially our worship services. We believe our services should be a space where every individual feels respected for their unique identity and experiences. We're committed to working together to build a truly inclusive and loving community where everyone belongs. So I'm sharing a little bit about myself and some service elements. My name is Don Swanson. It's my pleasure to be your service associate this morning. I am a Caucasian elderly man. That's not funny, really. Well, I guess it is. Yeah. I'm not supposed to laugh during this because it's serious. But I don't know. I guess I get uncomfortable saying that I'm elderly. Kind of, I don't know, expected, I guess. I'm wearing a light green jacket and a white golf shirt and jeans. And my pronouns are he, him, and his. We project images of song lyrics on the wall behind me during the service. During the times for joys and concerns, we can come to you with a microphone, or you can come to the front. Choir members use microphones so that those attending on Zoom can hear the voices. Assistive listening devices are available as you enter the sanctuary. These practices acknowledge and celebrate the beautiful diversity of individual needs, abilities, gender expression, and communication styles within our community. If you're visiting us for the first time and would like to learn more about All Souls or Unitarian Universalism, please fill out a connection card found in the Zoom chat or in the pews, and we will be happy to follow up with you. Our services are live streamed on Zoom. If you would like to activate Zoom's closed caption feature during the service, click the CC icon at the bottom of your screen and select Live Transcript. After the service, our remote participants are invited to stay online for a virtual social hour, and folks in the building are invited to gather in the parish hall for refreshments. For our chalice lighting, as we light this chalice, we kindle the spirit of the great turning, the movement for justice alive in this nation today. May we feel it in our bones and in the stillness of this hour. May we sense it calling our name. And please remain seated for our chalice song, meditation on breathing. For our earth candle, we light this green candle to affirm our commitment to caring for the planet that is our home. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Emily. Emily is a friend of our congregation and somewhat regular attendee, and we're happy to have her here today. Thanks.
Today is Mother's Day. And in many churches and across our society, this day has often been used to prescribe a narrow kind of womanhood, self-sacrificing, endlessly nurturing, emotionally available, and always defined by care for others. But motherhood has never fit neatly into that frame. Not all women are mothers. Not all who mother are women. Not all who give birth are women. And those who do choose to give birth and to mother are often critiqued long before they are celebrated, and sometimes made invisible in the process. I want to begin by naming that complexity, by making space for the contradictions, for joy and sorrow, for longing and loss, for gratitude, anger, tenderness, and fatigue. We need not resolve it, just hold it together in community. This month's theme is imagination. And on this Mother's Day, the intersection is clear. Imagination and motherhood meet in the act of bringing something new into the world, the act of birth. But I don't want to romanticize that either. To birth something new, whether it's a child, a future, or a liberating vision, is not safe. It stretches, it tears, it bleeds, it scars. And sometimes, and too often in this country, it can kill, especially if you are Black, especially if you are poor, especially if you don't have the power to choose when or whether you give birth. Some among us have carried life, whether we raised the child, lost the child, placed the child in other loving arms, or are still healing from the cost. Some have longed to give birth but could not. Some have buried children too soon. Some have chosen not to give birth because they had to or because they could. And we vision, we build, we bring into being, we birth generations to come. We shape truth from breath. We gather community from heartbreak. We seed resistance in places long thought barren. So as we gather today, may we honor all who have risked themselves in the making of something new, in body, in grief, in love, in courage. And may we ask together, what are we willing to give life to now? What will it take for us to carry it into the world? I invite you to stand as you are willing or able for our opening hymn. I'm going to warn you ahead of time that we're going to use collective pronouns our second time. And this is a way to honor the mothering and nurturing that we do together, as well as the ways that we bring nurture into the world on our own.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto us. Sing in our hearts all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold us close, wings set us free. Spirit of life, come to us, come to us.
Our first reading is from a Unitarian, Julia Ward Howe, who wrote the original Mother's Day proclamation in 1870, and this is it. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each learning after his own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and of humanity, I earnestly ask that a general Congress of women, without limit of nationality, may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objects, to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. We will now move to joys and concerns. As we gather in community today, we take a moment to share the heartfelt joys and concerns that touch our lives. You may remain seated for our following hymn.
Soul
Our second reading begins with words from theologian and biblical scholar Walter Brueggemann in the prophetic imagination. Our culture is competent to implement almost anything and to imagine almost nothing. The same royal consciousness that makes it possible to implement anything and everything is the one that shrinks imagination, because imagination is a danger. Thus, every totalitarian regime is frightened of the artist. It is the vocation of the prophet to keep alive the ministry of imagination, to keep on conjuring and proposing futures alternative to the single one the king wants to urge as the only thinkable one. In the spirit of the Mother's Day proclamation I read earlier, and as we ponder imagination this month, I offer you words from Scripture in the Christian tradition and Hebrew traditions that threatened the royal consciousness of the Roman occupation, words that are thousands of years old from a pregnant woman, a soon-to-be mother, in ancient Palestine, who dared to imagine her world could be different. Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed, for the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever."
Each service, we have an opportunity to give thanks for the blessings we have received in our lives and in the life of our community. Our offering is a chance to give back in support of our work and outreach. Those on Zoom may submit your offering electronically by following the link in the chat, or you may mail it to All Souls Church at the address provided in the chat. At this time, our offering this morning will be given and received.
Well, as we said earlier, today is Mother's Day. And when I was first asked if I'd be willing to plan the service for All Souls on Mother's Day, I kind of shrugged and said, well, I'm not a mother, but I'm open to it. We weren't sure whether we were going to acknowledge the day or not because, as we've already mentioned, Mother's Day is kind of complicated. And in churches, it's often used to reinforce gender norms. And like many holidays, it's been co-opted by capitalism. And it's not always clear if acknowledging it is helpful, not because we don't love our mothers, though some of us do have complicated relationships there, but because celebrating a very specific kind of mothering can leave out so many people. People who wanted to be mothers and couldn't, people who've lost children, people who never wanted to be mothers but were forced to do so, people who have difficult relationships with their mothers, or mothers who have difficult relationships with their children, people who don't fit the mold, sometimes through choice, but often through no fault of their own. But then I looked up the UU theme for May and saw that it was imagination, and I knew we had to do something with this day, because the intersection of imagination and mothering is a powerful force in our world. In many traditional understandings, mothering begins with pregnancy, around 9 months, often less, sometimes more, of pure imagination. Imagination often shared with those around us, all curious about the future. Who is growing in there? What will life be like when they emerge? I don't have children myself, but I am in a stage of life where I am regularly talking about mothering with my sister and close friends. And I've participated in that imagining and continue to do so as I get to interact with their kids. And through them, I see how many reasons birthing and caring for a new human life is life-changing, life-disrupting, life-invigorating. So what I want to focus on today is how imagination becomes a daily practice when someone is preparing to bring new life into the world, whether through pregnancy, adoption, surrogacy, whatever form it takes. It's an act of deep imagining of who this child might be, what they might experience that we never could, how they'll see the world and teach us to see things from a different perspective. And of course, it's worth saying here that birthing and mothering are not the same thing. Some people do one without the other. Some do both. What ties them together isn't biology. It's the courage to care, to commit, and to help something new emerge. And with that emergence comes some questions. Difficult questions, like, what kind of world am I bringing this new life into? This can be a difficult question to contend with. Some sidestep it, others find a ferocity in it, like the ferocity of Mary, when, according to Jesus' birth story, she consented to a pregnancy only to turn around and sing of revolution. God has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. God has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. What powerful words for anyone, let alone a young woman in Roman-occupied ancient Palestine. Mary, mother of Jesus, sits at the heart of this intersection between imagination and birthing new things into the world. Not only was she carrying a human child in her womb, but she was acknowledging the possibility that the God she grew up fearing would see her, declare her worthy of bringing forth a new way of relating to a religion that had always spoken of justice, but was now being reimagined through the soft, loud, messy work of embodiment. She stood in a long line of women, Hagar, Tamar, Hannah, Ruth, who had been seen and loved and named holy. But now, that holiness was about to learn to crawl. The tradition wasn't just proclaimed, it was being fed, diapered, sung to sleep. And you don't have to believe in a literal incarnation to recognize the power of what's happening here. This is a young woman in a violent empire choosing to believe that her body, her life, could carry the world toward justice, that the values her tradition taught could live and breathe through her. Mary shows us what sacred imagination looks like when it's rooted in the real, in flesh, in history, in hope. Whether you call it God or call it love or just call it forward movement, she birthed and mothered it into being with a fierce cry for justice. And I see that same ferocity in Julia Ward Howe in what we now call the Mother's Day Proclamation, which we read earlier this morning. It takes on a different tone. Where Mary was newly pregnant, Howe wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation when her first son was 22 years old. And she was experiencing what anyone who births someone or something experiences after a time, the realization that just because we birthed it doesn't mean it's ours to control or even protect. Her sons were too young to fight in the Civil War that happened in her lifetime. But Howe's empathy for mothers sending sons into battle came through in this proclamation, which she wrote from America during the Franco-Prussian War. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. This protest on behalf of her children is born out of imagination. What world am I bringing life into? How can I imagine the world differently? What might I do to bring the world I'm imagining into life? Howe called for a Mother's Peace Day to take place on June 2nd. It's not June 2nd. So it didn't happen. You could say, in a way, that her dream miscarried. Over 30 years later, another woman, Anna Jarvis, proposed something new, a day to honor the sacrifices mothers make for their children. And that eventually became the Mother's Day we know now. So Howe's original vision, a movement of women calling for peace, calling for justice, didn't completely disappear. It just didn't grow in the way that she had hoped. And maybe that's part of the work too, to imagine something bold, to speak it aloud, even if it doesn't take root right away, even if it changes shape in the hands of others, even if we never see the full harvest. And yet, some dreams do take root. They might grow slowly, underground, unnoticed at first, but they grow. Wangari Maathai dreamed of a healed green Kenya and started planting trees. Over time, that dream grew into the Greenbelt movement, responsible for more than 50 million trees across Africa. It created jobs, restored ecosystems, and empowered thousands of women to become environmental stewards and leaders. Dolores Huerta dreamed that the people who harvest our food could work with dignity. Through her organizing, she helped win collective bargaining rights for farm workers in California and reshaped the national conversation around labor and Latinx civil rights. Si se puede, her rallying cry, has since fueled movements far beyond the fields. The mothers of the Plaza de Mayo dreamed of justice for their disappeared children in Argentina's dirty war. They marched with their grief in public, refusing silence. Their protests helped bring international attention to human rights abuses and led to the recovery and reunion of over 130 grandchildren who had been stolen or illegally adopted. These weren't just personal dreams. They were sacred, subversive, persistent. They were imagined in the face of empire, patriarchy, trauma, and still they lived. Not all of these women birthed children, but they mothered change with ferocity, with vision, with prophetic imagination. And that kind of imagination, the kind that fuels birth, care, and resistance, isn't always easy to hold on to, especially when we've been hurt, especially when there are no guarantees that what we imagine will actually take hold, especially when we live in a world that keeps asking us to be realistic, practical, quiet, tired. Adrienne Marie Brown, a writer and activist rooted in Black liberation movements, says that imagination itself is stolen by those who dominate, exploit, and oppress. It's not just discouraged, the imagination is taken away. She writes, imagination is one of the spoils of colonization. Losing our imagination is a symptom of trauma. Reclaiming the right to dream the future is a revolutionary decolonizing activity. In other words, when powerful people try to control the future, they start by controlling who gets to dream. And if you've ever had your hope dismissed, if you've ever been told that your ideas were too much or not realistic, if you've ever tried to imagine a better world and someone told you to stay in your place, then you know exactly what she's talking about. Brown reminds us that when we dare to imagine something different, something better, we're not being naive. We're doing the work of healing. And more than that, we're doing the work of changing the world. She says that movements grow out of small shifts, that big change doesn't usually start with power. It starts with care, with attention, with small, slow patterns, like the way a mother or anyone who mothers shapes a life one day at a time. As we participate in those small, slow patterns, we are honoring an old tradition, the prophetic tradition, where imagination becomes a form of truth-telling. Walter Brueggemann, who I have read from already this morning, spent decades studying the Hebrew prophets, those wild voices in Scripture who cried out against injustice and dared to dream of something new. He says that the work of imagination is the work of prophets. For Brueggemann, the prophets didn't just name what was wrong. They gave people a vision of what could be right. They made people feel something again when the world had gone numb. They offered poetry in a time of propaganda, hope in a time of despair. And while Adrienne Marie Brown says that trauma can shut down our ability to imagine, Brueggemann reminds us that the system wants it that way. He calls it royal consciousness, the way empires, both ancient and modern, keep people from dreaming, keep people from feeling, keep people from believing that anything could ever really change. Together, Brown and Brueggemann help us to see that imagination is more than personal. It's political, it's spiritual. It's how we reclaim our agency when the world tries to take it from us. And that brings us back to Mary. Because what is this song she sings, the Magnificat, really, if not an act of prophetic imagination? Mary's world had every reason to shut her down. She was poor, she was young, she was from the margins of an occupied people. But instead of staying small, she sang. She declared that the world would not always be this way, that the powerful would not always sit on thrones, that the lowly would not always be overlooked, that the hungry would be fed. She didn't just sing about her pregnancy. She sang about transformation, the world turned upside down, or maybe finally turned right side up. It's a dangerous song, a bold song, a song you don't sing unless you've caught a glimpse of something better and you're willing to say it out loud. And I think today, we need songs like that. We need courage like that. We need imagination like that. Because the systems around us are continuing to tell us that nothing can really change, that power will always win, that some people will always suffer while billionaires thrive, that we should stay numb or silent or distracted. But what if we didn't? What if we dared to imagine something else? What if we let that imagination grow in us, like a song, like a protest, like a baby in the womb of a young girl who wasn't supposed to matter? What if we didn't just think about a better world, but started living like it might be possible? So today, as we move toward our final song, which is Mary's song, a modern setting of it, I want to name something clearly. Mary's song, the Magnificat, is full of God. It is sung to God. The God she sings to is the one she was taught to love, the one she also reimagines through her act of mothering. Her voice rings with power, with hope, and with defiance. She believes that the world can turn, and the way that she's able to do that is through her conversation with the God she knows. But for many of us, the word God carries harm. So for some, it conjures pain, exclusion, or control. So if you hear her song and feel that tension rise in your body, if you read the lyrics and you're not sure you're okay, I want you to know you're not doing it wrong. You're listening honestly. And I want to offer you the fact that all of this is voluntary. You are not required to sing these words. You're invited. And you get to decide how you want to interact with these words as well. Because it can be larger than a piece of scripture from the Christian tradition. It can be an invitation to an act of sacred imagination. It can be remembering a young woman daring to speak of a world where the lowly are lifted and the hungry are filled. A dreamer reclaiming power from empire. A mother reshaping what holiness even looks like. And if God is not a word that works for you, you can still sing to what does. You get to decide. You can sing to justice, to turning, to hope, to imagination. You can sing for the ones who've imagined a better world and brought it to life, for the ones who've mothered change, for the ones who nurtured the dreams of others and helped them grow. You can sing for what is being born in you. Let this song become a way of dreaming. Let it make room in you for something new, because the world is turning. And the ones who sing it forward are the ones who dare to imagine what's next. I invite you to stand if you are willing or able. And if you recognize the tune from this, it's actually the Star of the County Down. It's an Irish tune. Okay.
My soul cries out with a joyful shout that the God of my heart is great, and my spirit sings of the wondrous things that you bring to the ones who wait. You fixed your sight on your servant's life, and my weakness you did not spurn. So from east to west shall my name be blessed. Could the world be about to turn? My heart shall sing of the day you bring. Let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring. Let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn. From the halls of power to the fortress tower, not a stone will be left on stone. Let the king beware, for your justice tears every tyrant from his throne. The hungry poor shall weep no more, for the food they can never earn. There are tables spread, every mouth be fed, for the world is about to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring. Let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn. Though the nations rage from age to age, we remember who holds us fast. God's mercy must deliver us from the conqueror's rushing grasp. This saving word that our forebears heard is the promise which holds us bound. Till the spear and rod can he crush thy God, who is turning the world around. My heart shall sing of the day you bring. Let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn.
Adrienne Marie Brown asks us, when we imagine the world we want to shift towards, are we dreaming of being the winners of the future? Or are we dreaming of a world where winning is no longer necessary because there are no enemies? May we imagine a world where no one is disposable. Not because we've erased our differences, but because we've dismantled the systems that taught us they were threats. May we imagine beyond whiteness, patriarchy, ableism, beyond the myth that some bodies, some minds, some lives are worth more than others. May we imagine as queer people, neurodivergent people, as people of many genders, many races, many classes, as people living with chronic illness, as people aging in a culture that denies death, even as it builds empires on it. And alongside all those, our world pushes to the edges. May we imagine our way out of royal consciousness that would have us numb ourselves with despair. May we birth communities where tenderness is power, where justice is collective, and where imagination is not escape, but revolution. Let us leave here not with answers, but with fire. Let us go and birth what empire said was impossible.
We extinguish the flame of the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us in our hearts until we are together again. We'd like to give special thanks to our participants in this morning's service. Our guest speaker was Emily Hedrick. Our usher was Peter Volpe. The tech team, Sarah Elstrom and Joseph Maloney, and our music director and pianist, Jacob Clapper. Our upcoming events include Service and Music Committee meeting on Monday, May 12th at 5:30 p.m. Social Action and Environmental Committee, Tuesday, May 13th, 7:15 p.m. on Zoom. Connection Circle, Wednesday, May 14, from 2:30 to 4. Read and discuss an article of political interest. Reading Group, Wednesday, May 14th, from 7 to 8, discussing A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. Community Talent and Potluck Night is Saturday, May 17th at 6 p.m. Go to Talent to Share, whether you sing, dance, juggle, perform magic, play an instrument, we'd love to see it and or hear it. Want to perform? Let us know ahead of time if possible, but we'll also have same-day sign-ups available. Bring your favorite dish to share, and please include a list of ingredients to help accommodate food sensitivities and dietary needs. Bring your friends and family to cheer on your performance and enjoy a relaxed evening of entertainment and connection. Questions or early signups, you can contact Kathy or Joe with any questions. AA meetings are on Monday at 7 p.m., Tuesdays at 8 p.m., and please note that the budget hearing will be held next Sunday after the service on May 18th, and our annual meeting is scheduled for June 8th. All Souls meeting take place on Zoom unless otherwise stated. And there's a community green fair at First Parish in Stoughton on Saturday, May 17th from 10 to 3, outdoors on the lawn, rain or shine. Speakers on a range of environmental topics will be there from 10:30 to 2:30. At the First Parish UU in Canton, weekly small groups open to the wider community on Thursday afternoons. For details, see their website. Our remote participants are invited to stay online for a virtual social hour, and folks in the building are invited to gather in the parish hall for refreshments. Also, there are flowers in the parish hall for women, mothers, people who want to be mothers. I don't know, for some people. Thank you for being